Um, okay, Tyze Personal Networks. Now, tonight's teleworkshop is a joint presentation between us, the Alzheimer Society of BC, and Tyze. And with us this evening, we're very pleased, waving, to have Natasha Moore. She's a product manager at Tyze. She's been with Tyze for the last 3.5 years, and up until recently was working on research and their Tyze Research and Engagement Program, and is moving into product management. So she certainly is knowledgeable about the program, about the way it works, about how people can benefit from using it to help care for someone in their lives. So welcome, Natasha.
Thank you. So lovely to be here.
Then there's me, Jan Robson. I'm the Provincial Coordinator of Programs and Services at the Alzheimer Society of BC. For those of you who usually sign on, I'm usually here with my co-worker, Mark Lebrecq, but we've given him the evening off so that we can have a special guest. So the agenda for this evening. First of all, Natasha will give us a really comprehensive overview about what Tyze does, how it helps, how it can help. Looking at social media, health, and caregiving, and where Tyze fits into all of this. And then I'll talk about why the Alzheimer Society of BC is partnering with Tyze. What's the point? And who can benefit from it from our perspective. If you're interested, how can you get connected? And then we'll finish off with a little bit about the Alzheimer Society. We'll have a survey for you. And then we'll have questions, and that will be the opportunity to really pick Natasha's brains at that point. So jot down any questions you have as we go along. How would this work for you? You're unclear of certain points, that kind of thing. Please do note it down so that we can take advantage of her while she's here. And so with that, I'm going to pass it along to Natasha. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's so lovely to be here. I'm really excited to spend some time with you and share some ideas and thoughts about Tyze, but also about social media and the way in which the web and social media can support caregiving. So I wanted to start with a little bit about Tyze, just to give you some background and a sort of firmer understanding of what the tool intends to do and how it can support care. So, at its root, it really is about helping people care for others. It's a web-based community or a web-based network that's built around people who need support, and it grew out of an organization called Planned Lifetime Advocacy Network. That is a disability organization that started around 20 years ago by families who had a child with a disability and recognized that as they aged, that their child would need additional support, and that indeed when they passed, that their child would need ongoing support of others. It's an invite-based and secure network platform. So it's really about having your close friends and family around you. And so it's not about data mining. We don't take any of the information that you provide and upload to Tyze. And it's not about advertising as well. So we don't post things into your network about, if you're single and become engaged, we won't show you any advertising about wedding dresses, for example. Some sites might do. I'm just going to go to my next. Did I do that? That was
there. Good.
Got it. I work for a technology company. What am I doing? So many different people use Tyze. So I mentioned that it started with Plan, a disability organization, and certainly many of our users are families with a child or a family member with a disability, a loved one with a disability, but that increasingly, of course, the care and caregiving occurs across a vast range of circumstances. And so that might be somebody who is older or with a chronic illness. It might be a short-term illness like an accident or a hospitalization. It could be cancer and a need to explore with others the experience of cancer. It could be those that are caregiving across a distance and want to share information with friends and family that are not in the space that perhaps the family is. And it could be around storing information privately. We have around 9,000 users, and we work with organisations not only in Canada, but also in the United States, in the UK, and in Australia as well. Caregiving, Tyze is a tool that really lends itself to being used not only by those who are experiencing an illness, but also the caregivers and support for them. So when it comes to caregiving and those who are providing care, it's a secure space that helps people stay organized. So it includes a calendar and a place to upload files securely. And then it also supports people in sharing that care, so requesting tasks or requesting support from others. And then it helps people to stay connected. So those are some of the key features and the key aspects of Tyze that help along that journey of caregiving. And so what I'll do is I'll go through what it looks like and give you a sense of the tool and the features within the tool and how they can be used. So it begins with an open space, a place that's sort of like the home page of Tyze, and that's the Connect page. And it is an aggregate of all the things that are occurring on the network at any one point in time. So you'll notice that there are sort of 3 columns. You've got one on the left-hand side that includes all of the members of the network. So you've got a way to see everybody who's there and everybody who's available to help and support. On the right-hand side, you've got all of the shortcut spots to access the different features. And then in the middle, an update list of everything that's happening within the network. One of the central features of Tyze is a calendar. And for caregivers and for those experiencing care issues or needing to express and support, express to others support that they need, a calendar is a really key piece of that. The calendar is shared by everybody, so everybody in the network has access to it. So you can post not only some of the appointments or the schedule information that you need to know yourself, but some of the social and birthday events or different support groups that you might have you might be going to. So it really allows for a varied sharing of information. They can be both personal in nature, things that you need to upload or need to schedule, and then also things that you want to share with others as well. The Contribute tab is really all about it's really a tool that supports the asking of help. So it's a way that you can say, I actually need some help with these things. Can somebody help out? And it's a lovely reciprocation, a tool that allows reciprocation. So I can pop in and say, hey, I've got some time off on Monday, and I can come and I can help out with doing leg stretches. And it is a really wonderful way of the people who are within your network, the friends and family, getting exposure to the sort of support that's needed within caregiving. Stories and Photos is more about the celebration and the experience of life than it is about caregiving. So it's a spot where the family, the friends can post stories and video and photos, and also YouTube videos that are perhaps a little bit more about just what's going on in life, less about the caregiving and less about the sharing of information or the resources, and more about the fun things that happen for a family or for an individual. A really nice way to maintain a more personal journal or a family history as well. So Stories and Photos is more about the sort of heartbeat of a network. And then Shared Files in the Vault act in very similar ways. It's about uploading information, so uploading files that you might want to share with everybody, and that's what you would do within Shared Files. So these are the more generic pieces of information. They might be contact details, so a list of contact numbers or emergency numbers. They might be healthy food ideas, so things that you would request of people if they're perhaps bringing meals over, and that you've scheduled that within the contribute section. And then the vault is the more personal and private thing. So this is a space that's secure and that you give permission access to see. So you would only give those that you would want to have access to these files, permission to view these files. And this could be more personal pieces of information. So as we see here, advance directive or a home care record or lawyer's information. So it's really meant to be a little bit more secure and personal aspect of Tyze. And so there are actually many ways that you can use each of the different features within Tyze. And that really reflects the different ways in which we communicate and coordinate ourselves. And so messaging is not only about sending things like urgent notes or quick updates, but it's also about others being able to post messages of support or comment and share messages of support. The calendar is not only a place in which you would provide or maintain your own information about appointments, but it's also where you could schedule social events and let everybody know important dates or respite schedules. Contribute's really great because it essentially becomes like a virtual to-do list. So you can use Contribute to set up a meal train. I'm just getting my camera ready. I'm ready now. You can use Contribute to set up a meal train, for example. So when you need to have your meals brought over because of because of a time in which perhaps caregiving is a little bit more intense, and doing things like meal preparation becomes a little bit more difficult. So setting up a week by week, or a night by night schedule where family can come over and drop a meal for everybody. Using Contribute is a great way to do that. Scheduling visits, hospital visits or at-home visits, organising rides, and also organising events. So it's a really lovely kind of a tool that allows you to create this great, a very robust to-do list. So Stories and Photos, I mentioned, is really around celebrating events. It's around recording a family history. We've had families that have used it to, each story has been an element of family history, so it's really keeping a record of the family and the individual that is being cared for, a record of their history, and sharing that with everybody, right? So it's also a place you can use, a place you can use for resource links, so sharing the core information or key information about a health issue or about resources for health issues with everybody, so everybody's armed with the same information. And then, of course, files is very much about some of the key pieces of information that can just stay in the file section and then accessed if needed. So an emergency list is a great place for, shared files is a great place for an emergency list or a contact list or recipe ideas. But then the more personal information you would keep in the vault, like a care plan or financial information. And so I wanted to talk a bit about how Tyze is different from social media. So we live in a world now where Facebook and Twitter are par for the course of how we experience online, what our web experience is like. And I really love this little cartoon, this little chicken in the toilet says, "Hey, follow me doesn't really mean you have to follow me everywhere." And we have that feeling and experience, with social media, that we're being followed, or that we're following, or that we're friending, or that, and that has a really appropriate space. But Tyze is quite different from that. It is much more about the personal network, the close, intimate family network that you would interact with around care issues that are much more personal in nature. And that's not to say, though, that there isn't a place and isn't an appropriateness about things like Facebook. they're used in different ways, and they're appropriate for different means. And while Facebook is more group-focused and about sort of quantity and is a very public space, Tyze is intended to be an ad-free and a private and secure space. So they're different, but they're used in very different ways as well. And the way we access information has changed radically. Caregivers and people with health issues use the online space to access information a lot more, of course, than we would have previously. We look and read commentary and experience about health and medical issues. We look for online videos about those issues. We try and find different and other people who have the same concerns to learn from those. We track our own experience, and we look at we Google. We do go to Dr. Google when we have some health symptoms to see what might be wrong with us. So we use the internet for an intense amount of research and information, which of course is natural. But what I think is quite interesting is that there are a lot of varied ways that you can use the internet that really support both the caregiving and the experience of an illness. So, for example, we would use the Alzheimer Society for the resources on their website, which is an incredible space for learning and research. We would get access to teleworkshops like these through their website. LinkedIn is a really interesting tool. There are a lot of advocacy groups, thought leaders and organizations that you can tap into that send out regular posts, regular information through LinkedIn, and you can actually get connected with those organizations and essentially use them as information mining. It doesn't have to be very intensive, but they're actually really excellent resources. Google's, it's now a word we just fling around whenever we want to find out. We'll just Google it. Find out a piece of information. It's quite incredible. But fabulous for quick searches, really good for news and resources or academic resources as well, and great for finding forums too. Facebook is actually quite a wonderful resource for tapping into organizations, of course connecting with friends and families, and a lot of support groups are often on Facebook as well, and it's a place where you can actually really find some of those fun things, just the things that are going around that lighten life a little bit. And then Twitter is Twitter is 140 characters. What are you going to do with that? But Twitter does some really interesting things, like there's a lot of live chats that occur through Twitter, so you can they'll be scheduled, and you can just sign into Twitter, and you can essentially read through the chat that occurs. And so there've been a lot of people posting different pieces of information. A lot of the thought leaders around any illness, around health, will be in Twitter and will be posting. So a great place to find articles, new research, and you can also follow organizations, so you can see what different organizations are doing as well. And the hashtag caregiver is a great one. So if you're just following a hashtag like hashtag caregiver, you are constantly getting updates about articles or research. So there are really varied ways you can use the web and social media to just keep updated. And I think this is less about, it's more about keeping yourself updated with things that might be going on. The way in which you can set this sort of thing up can be less intensive than you expect. You do it such that it comes into your email, and you sort of work through what is a priority piece of information with you, and then the rest, you sort of move on from. So it's not intended to be very labor intensive, but intended to really give you a quick grab at the things that are going on in the web that really reflect some of the thought leadership, some of the knowledge dissemination, and resource dissemination that could be helpful and supportive within a caregiving or within an illness experience.
No, it's me. Thank you. And you'll have an opportunity to ask lots of questions in just a few minutes here. So the Alzheimer Society has partnered with Tyze. Tyze has partnered with us. I'm not sure which direction it goes. And we received funding for this initiative, as did Tyze. It's available to a limited number of families at no charge because of this partnership. Typically, a Tyze network costs $129 a year. Is that still the going rate, Natasha? That was last year's figures.
Yes.
Yes, okay. But if you do it through us, there is no charge to you or your family to set up a network. Okay. So why are we partnering with Tyze? Well, first of all, it extends our services. We're always looking for ways with 70,000 people in BC having Alzheimer's or another dementia. We certainly can't deal with people on an individual basis, all of these 70,000 people. We can't reach all of these people, and we're always looking for ways to extend our services, teleworkshops being one, the Tyze partnership being another. It's a person-centered way of doing things, and I think Natasha explained that really well in terms of it being your own personal network. It's very much a person-centered resource. Based in Canada, it complies with Canadian privacy legislation, which is important. We don't want to be encouraging people to link up with things that potentially would end up having problems for them, privacy-wise. It has a solid reputation. Natasha mentioned 9,000 users. 9,000 users can't be wrong. And it's recognized and supported by the Ministry of Health. So this is a credible organization. It offers an online suite of tools, as Natasha went through, to enhance communication and information sharing. Doesn't require any special software. You don't need to go out and spend $400 or something like that in order to get connected. Those of you who are following on the PowerPoint slides as opposed to just on the phone, you'll see that the interface is it's pleasant, it's colorful, it's fun to look at. It's an eye-pleasing kind of a resource. And if you are able to navigate Facebook, this is no more difficult. Who can benefit? And I think Natasha pretty much went through this, but just to reiterate, if you are a person with dementia and you can manage your own care at this point and use a computer, you can benefit. Family caregivers, extended family, friends. You don't have to be a blood relative to be part of the network. And in fact, I think increasingly networks are becoming the chosen family as opposed to the blood family. Long-distance caregivers, it's wonderful for that situation. You have family in Nova Scotia, you have family in Ontario, you have family here. This can make everybody feel like they're all together. And even just people who are having a difficult time getting together as a group. Certainly those of you that are working full-time and maybe have other commitments, sometimes it feels like you might as well be trying to get together with people in Nova Scotia and Ontario because it's so difficult to set up a time when you're all available. This way, you can, and you're doing it online, and it's not necessarily all of you at the same time for sure, but you're getting that information as if you were. So, assuming you're interested, and maybe that's a big assumption, I hope not, how can you set up a Tyze network for your family? Well, Alzheimer Society of BC staff or volunteers must talk to you about Tyze first to ensure you're going to use the tool. We don't want people signing up and then next week thinking, I don't think so. We want to get people that are committed to trying this out, giving it a really good solid try, and hopefully not just a try, hopefully they'll continue with it. So you do have to talk to one of our staff or volunteers. When you do, a special private link will be provided to you. And it's not publicly advertised, so we're not going to put this link up on this teleworkshop so that you can start getting connected tonight. You do have to go through our staff. If you don't know the number of your local Alzheimer Society Resource Center, you can check online at www.alzheimerbc.org, or you can call the Dementia Helpline. And the Dementia Helpline is available Monday to Friday, 9 to 4. The toll-free line is 1-800-936-6033. And the staff or volunteers on the Dementia Helpline can hook you up with the closest resource center, and the staff in the resource center can get you going if they have a chat and they think, okay, they're committed, they want to try it out. So it's very simple. And some of you may already have a connection with a local resource center. Perfect. Call them up. They can get you going really quickly. For more information about it, they have a wonderful demo video on their website, and we've got the link here. There's information on the Tyze YouTube community that's here, or you can contact them. Phone number 604-628-9594, or email info@tyze.com. So you can find out more information. If you're just thinking, okay, I don't want to talk to the Alzheimer Society just yet because I'm still, I want to talk to the experts. I want to find out a little bit more about it. Then by all means, that's the way to do it. Then be in touch with us. So before we move into some questions, just a couple of things I want to go through, and I really hope there are some questions because that will make this, I think, a lot richer for you. If you haven't participated in our teleworkshops before, just to let you know that we do have 19 resource centers around the province. Their focus is information, education, support, and referrals. And the staff are wonderful, so by all means, please do connect with them if you can. The Dementia Helpline, as I mentioned, 1-800-936-6033, and there is a local number as well, and that's 604-681-8651. If you're not much for phone calls, or if you find that the only time you can call is the time when you can't contact people, try using the email for the support line, the helpline. Support line at alzheimerbc.org, and your inquiries will be answered through email if that's your preferred way. We do offer lots of education. We do workshops on healthy brain, getting to know dementia, shaping the journey, and this is for people with dementia as well as care partners. Our core education for caregivers is called the Family Caregiver Series, and we'll put on additional workshops often at people's request. If there's enough people that are interested, we can shape the workshops to the audience. There's the teleworkshops. We have some of our teleworkshops are archived on the website. We're in the process of replacing them. Our sound is a little better than it was initially, so this is an ongoing process. We have support groups for people with early symptoms and for caregivers. There's around 90 caregiver groups in the province, around 25 or 30 for people with early symptoms. So there's a fair number of services available. We also have several newsletters and bulletins. Our newsletter is Contact, and there's also an e-contact available. We have In Touch, which is our bulletin for caregivers, and Insight, which is for people with dementia by people with dementia. And you can subscribe to these. You